afternoon, moms of Master Books. My name is Brittany Pratt, and I'm joined here today with Angela Odell. She is one of our best-selling authors and one of our favorites. We are so excited you're here. She is a best-selling author of our curriculum, Math Lessons for Living Education series. You can see we have a math book in the back. One of the fun things about my job here as publicist is every morning I get to go through and read through everybody's reviews of all of our courses, and so I get to see all the reviews that come in on math lessons, and it's super cool to see all the reviews that come in, like, this has changed my homeschool, we finally have no more tears while doing math, just like really, really awesome reviews. Today we are going to discuss a new project that Angela has been working on. It is a math lessons teaching companion, and we're really excited about that. I think that is in the design and layout process right now. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I am very, very happy to be here, by the way. My family is on vacation in Branson, and I'm like, we have to take a day to come down here and visit the press. I actually printed out the table of contents because I did the work on this earlier this spring, so I was kind of refreshing my brain on it on the way down. I was like, oh my gosh. But yes, I wanted to create a resource for math lessons because I understand that it's a very different way of doing math, and I'm not going to say it's a new way. I'm going to say that it's more like an old way that's been brought back into circulation. Okay. Math lessons, a lot of you guys know this already, but math lessons was originally written for my oldest daughter, who's 24 now and has a baby.
Nice.
Yeah. But she really, really struggled with math, and she is extremely artistic. In fact, she's the one that wrote the art program.
So cool. We're so excited for that.
But she just did not think mathematically. She thought big picture, and she's very artistic. So I kind of combined a lot of different approaches into kind of braided them into this unique approach. And so I tell people that the first edition of the math series, at least the first couple of books, are written on notebook paper, scribbled on notebook paper, but I have them all stapled together, and they're just stacked in cardboard boxes in an upstairs closet. Nice. Because that's how we did math. Right. And so when it came time to actually put this into print, I pulled all of those out, and I was like, wow, this worked so well for her, and it has worked so well for all of my kids, just the way I approach math, that I really wanted to make it available. So I do understand, though, that there are questions, and there are just things in it that I know that the companion they'll just kind of help smooth those, as your dad says, the friction points. So what I did is I sat down and I made a list of everything. And we also put a post on Facebook in the Moms of Master Books group. And we said, hey, if I was going to do this, what would you like to see? So we got a lot of really good suggestions, which I did take to heart. And so I set about making a tool, and I haven't seen this in any kind of form except for my scribbles and my typing up. But I wanted to make sure that I covered things like why would I teach math from a biblical worldview? Why is that important? Why is it important to me? Why is it important for everyone? And I wanted to talk about how math lessons is a good brain math, not a bad brain math, where it doesn't put a kid in a funk to look at their page and see a billion problems. And I even tell stories about when I was a kid, and I loved math, but I hated the math curriculum that I was made to use. And I felt like the curriculum writer they just had it out for kids. they hated kids.
Right. It's overwhelming when there's so much on the page and everything.
Yes.
I was horrible at math, and so
don't you were horrible.
I wish I had math lessons because I get so overwhelmed with things, and my brain would just like shut down.
Yep.
So yeah.
Well, and and I'm actually good at maths, and my brain still shut down. And I was convinced that these people were just trying to mess me up so they could mark me wrong because there were so many problems. So I cover that, and I cover the goals and objectives for the course, not only the ones that I had in writing, but in giving the parents something that they can say, you know what, this is something that I'm going to make a goal for my student. I also did an all-inclusive scope and sequence chart for every single book. So it's literally this big chart where I think I started Math 1 because K is just coming out. But Math 1 is, it's all of everything that's covered, Math 2, Math 3, all the way up through 6. So that one. And then I did a nice big section on how to use math lessons as a tool. Because my thing is, and I say this right in the companion, that my goal for writing any curriculum is to give the parents the tool. I do not know, although I love your students, I love kids. I don't know your students. So I wanted to create a tool to give to them to say, okay, now it's your time to shine bright. God gave you this child to teach. He's going to give you what you need, and I'm here to help you. But you're the star of this program. So not me, you. So I talk about how to adapt it for cognitive ability, for learning styles. I talk about how adding hands-on, out-of-the-box practice and application. A lot of people look at it and go, oh, there aren't very many problems here. Is this enough? Do I need to add more problems? I say if you need to add more problems, go ahead and add more problems. But a lot of the practice comes in the form of hands-on, actually moving with the math to digest what they've learned and actually be able to put it in the long-term memory that way. And then I just give a whole big section of general teaching tips, things that I've done. I'm going into my 21st year of homeschooling. Congrats. I cannot believe that. Graduated 3 of my kids. I have 1 left, have 2 years left with her.
What year is she? Oh,
she's an 11th grader.
Nice.
So this is our last year of normal, whatever that is, normal homeschool, because next year she's doing straight college classes. So
wow. Awesome.
I know I'm excited for her, but I'm a little sad for me because this is basically the end of the road.
It's
so
like bittersweet.
I know it's really, but I've gained a lot of knowledge from just working with kids for that long. So I pass those on, and I just give some general teaching tips. The place value village is always one that I get tons and tons and tons of questions about. And you let me know if you see questions.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, just drop them in the comments, and I'm kind of monitoring them while we're talking.
Yes. So Place Value Village, I give an in-depth talk. I wrote pages and pages and pages and pages about how I teach place value, and just give some ideas on how to do that, and just encouragement and understanding that this is one of those concepts, like so many concepts in life, where it's not a one-time and you get it kind of thing. It's a constant practice and application, and pulling it back out and going back to the beginning and building on what you know. And it's just really an encouragement thing in that. And then so I go through the constructing of the place value village and learning how to use counting objects. And I don't care what you count: Cheerios, M&Ms, anything you want. You just count what you want.
M&Ms are the best because you can eat them after.
Yes, exactly. And so you count all these and you can eat them all. And then just understanding the learning process. And I go through right brain flashcards.
Nice.
Yay, right?
A lot of questions on that.
Yes, I think that's probably the major friction point in this curriculum. It's an important part though. So I just keep hanging on to it. I give the method and the objectives, and hi Carity. Hi. And I talk about, I tell how to make them. I also just give some insight on why I so stubbornly hang on to the right brain flashcards. I really go into depth in this teaching companion about how I really want the kids to learn how to integrate their critical thinking and their creative thinking. So many of us think of creative thinking and critical thinking as being separate, but in reality, they are so intertwined, you cannot separate them. Right. And for kids who are really, really strong in one way or the other, their tendency is to use that dominant part of their brain and kind of drag the weaker part along. Right. And it's like with my daughter, so creative, so artistic, but yet just struggled with math. But when I started having her integrate both of them together, I watched her critical thinking just explode, because it wasn't her creative part dragging along the critical thinking part. It was it was her teaching her brain to work together. Definitely. So it was really, really cool to see that. So I explain the reason why, and then I tell how to make them. Another big section was memory work. That's another thing I get so many questions about, memory work and math facts. And my kids hate doing math facts and all of that. I talk about the importance of memorization, and I just give some tips on how to do that. I also included a chart of facts per level. Nice. And actually put the lessons where they're going to be learning certain facts. Right. So when they're making their cards, they can just look at that chart and go, okay, you're in lesson what? Okay, you're going to be doing these facts today. Right. Or this week. Yeah, that's really nice. That was actually one of the questions I had for you. So this is one book, correct? Yep. Okay. Can somebody buy this and would they be able to jump into any level, or is it something that they would need to start with level 1 and have? Fall off the chair here. Good. I'd make her an exciting Facebook Live. Like there. So is it something that they'd have to jump, like they could jump into, say, level 3 and start with? Or would they buy it early on when they start the series and work through it? Either. Okay. I would say either. In fact, if you're going to use any level, it'll be worth it, because I really just, I give my really the heart behind it, where the method comes from. Really just explain it. This is going to be a great help for people who are using any book in this series, but it's also, I look at it as my gift to a homeschool mom, because it's not just about math. I didn't want this just to be about, oh, this is my method, this is how you do this. I wanted it to be an encouragement, and I don't want it to be like all nice and neat by the time you're done reading it. I want it to be full of sticky notes and all kinds of things. I want it to be well used. And I remember as a young homeschool mom, I just felt so overwhelmed and so unequal to the task. And I want to encourage all the moms, all the dads, the grandparents, anybody who is homeschooling, who has taken on this absolutely monumental task. I want to just encourage them, and I want them to know that I'm in their corner. Right. And if that happens through math, and yes, let it happen through math. Right. Exactly. Homeschool Win. Okay. So I do the charts of facts to learn by level. I talk about oral narration in math, and the absolute importance of that. I've had so many parents ask me, do I have to do the oral narration? Do I have to have my kid tell me what they're doing and why they're doing it? And the answer is yes, you do. I mean, if you really want them to understand the concept, yes, they need to be able to explain it. Right. I feel like math so many times, it's like when I was learning it, it's like, well, when am I ever going to use this?
so when you answer that, then it becomes easier
Yes.
for me to, oh, okay, I'm going to use this, so I should learn it now.
Yes, you should. And it teaches the child to actually process it in a different way
Definitely.
than if they're just filling in the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I go into these are just the concepts that I talk about, but I go into great detail. In fact, I was shocked when I was done writing. I was done writing this. I did it in a relatively short time, but I got done. I looked at the word count, and it was like nearly 30,000 words. I was like, whoa, why use 3 words when you can use 30,000?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and then I do a teaching instructions tip by level, because the books 2 through 5, they all start with some review lessons at the beginning. I think there's like 4 to 6 weeks of review. And because there are people who are starting at one of those points, yes, they're supposed to take the placement test. And if they do it right, those lessons are those prerequisite lessons, and those have already been learned.
Right.
But I also want them to know that the way that I've taught those concepts. So 1 through 6, I actually do I went through all of the books when I did this, and I wrote down all of the concepts that I had expected them to learn to start those books. And I just kind of went through those and gave them some tips on how to teach those. So those lessons that are missing, they're not really missing, but they're missing the teaching instruction in those lessons, I've put them in here. Okay. So I'm hoping that will help people to be able to just more smoothly transition into the series from another curriculum if needed.
Definitely.
And then I go through the charts and the manipulative section. Go. I can speak. I can sit down without falling.
You got this.
I do. I can do it. So I go through each book and I talk about the charts and the manipulatives and how to use them, when they're going to be using them, and all of that. And then at the end, there is a miscellaneous resource. I have a section of frequently asked questions, and that's where I do some compare and contrast between other scope and sequences of other math curriculums. I have an entire section of every single recipe.
That is awesome.
Yes.
I see so many times on the Moms of Master Books group, people will be like, oh, we made this today. And people will jump in and be like, what lesson did you get that from?
Yes.
And then they want to make it. They're like, private message me the recipe.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And or my kid took their math lesson their book into the kitchen and spilled something all over their book. Now I can't,
Yeah, that's awesome.
So this will be a little bit handier.
Yeah, I feel like I would take those out and laminate those.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. Put them in a couple of page protectors or something.
Keep them in the kitchen.
Right.
Have a little math lessons cooking book.
Yes, there you go. So there are the entire, and I put some recipes in there that I mention in the story, but I don't give the recipe for. So nice. I actually put those in there too. I know, I'm just like that. No. But no, there are so many good recipes. And I was like, our family's made so many. So
that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. And then I have a section of math games, just different ideas, how to teach place value and odds and evens and all these different things. So several games.
It's nice to have those options because different games will connect and click well with different kids.
Right. Just give that mom who's just feeling fuzzy brained, oh, you want to do a math game? And look in the back of that. I think there's one in there, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then of course I have to have a family tree explaining who everybody is in the story. So people who are jumping in don't go, huh? Who
That's
is that?
Brilliant. Yeah. Cause if you jump in on level 3, you kind of missed a little bit of the story before. I mean, it's possible you can still do it, but that's nice.
They'll understand it, but it just makes it more fluid. It kind of gets rid of a friction point.
Right.
And then I end with a synopsis of the storyline. So if there's someone who's starting in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, they can go and say, hey, and just kind of see just a little synopsis of each book, their storyline.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes.
I know we have a couple questions in the comments, so I'll rapid fire you quick.
Okay.
Kelly Gibbs asked, what's the book called?
I'm not sure what the title is going to be, but I think it's probably going to just be like Math Lessons for Living Education Teacher's Companion.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Carity Kidwell said, oh, my entire teacher guide will be highlighted dog-eared sticky tab. Yes.
Yes.
Amanda asked, when will the companion book be available? Right now, it's in design and layout, so I think it's still a couple months out, correct?
Probably. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there are a couple of projects in front of it too. So.
Oh, Angela said, yes, mom of 11, been homeschooling since 2004. Those early years, I was like a fish out of water. Thanks for telling us about the teacher guide. Do you have any plans to expand past level 6?
No. Well, yes and no. I've been talking to Tim about a high school consumers math, but there aren't any concrete plans on that yet. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Looking for any more questions in here. Carity's very excited about the recipes. That's usually when I was growing up, that was always my favorite part. I love trying out new stuff. And
hallelujah, amen, she says.
Dana McCall asks, is this one book for all levels or one
Yes.
book for each level?
It's for all levels. Yep.
All right. Oh. Okay. I think that covers everything. So thank you so much for jumping in today and joining me and stopping by the press on your vacation. Like, that's so cool.
I had to. I was in Branson. Of course I had to come down.
Your vacation.
Yes.
I love that. Okay, again, this we were discussing the Math Lessons for Living Education Teaching Companion. It is in the design and layout stages, I do believe. And so it will be available in the next few months. So keep an eye out for that. If you have any more questions for Angela or just about the math lessons, be sure to drop a comment, and then we'll be monitoring it this week and next week, and we can just jump in there and answer anything you've got. So awesome. Well, have a great weekend, everybody, and God bless, and thank you so much again for coming.
You're welcome. This is fun.
Bye.